Hello, my creatures of the night. I am King Beanie, and welcome back to the realm of nightmares. Today, I introduce you to the Inuit monsters. The one we are talking about today is Ikutayuk. And let me just say, I hope you never meet them while walking around at night. It's cold. It's always cold in January, isn't it? This January is not so unusual after all. It would seem it's still cold. The snow still hangs low in the branches of the evergreens. The snow fox can still be glimpsed occasionally darting in and out of the tree line. No, this January is just like all the rest. Why then am I here? What ineffable quality of January placed me in this moment? My heart beats out of my chest. My breath is ragged and sudden as I draw my first breath in what seems like minutes. This breath is followed by silence. I wait for a footstep, or a snap twig, or a figure to come gliding out across from the snow. But nothing moves. No sound comes from the woods. It is covered in an eerie silence. I heard once that snow reduces reverberation, and that's where the silence comes from. But at this moment, I don't believe a word of that. There is no snow silence. This silence is intentional. It has a purpose, and it has a source. I wait, my breath caught in my throat, hiding in the silence. Then, a sound. It's low, barely audible, but I could recognize it anywhere. The low rumbling of drums. I look up to the summit. The tall peak at any other time of year would entice hikers with the promise of a snow-capped peak, but not in January. Snow is not special in January. The trails are all obscured by the abundant powder, and the mountain pass is subject to avalanches that keep even the most experienced hikers and climbers away until spring. I wish it had been enough to deter me. The sound of drums drifts to me from the peak. The methodical pulse slows my heartbeat. I could feel my palpitations align with the faint pounding. The rhythm is uncomfortable, neither too fast nor too slow. It somehow ends up feeling as if it is both. It's not a musical rhythm, but rather a pulse that seems to carry an invitation. The other villagers claim not to hear it. They claim their nights are spent sound asleep in bed. But I know better. I know the sleepless nights spent at the window, looking to the peak. I know the immutable feeling that something rides beneath the snow of the heath. And I know the call of the mountain. That pull that causes you to take a few steps northward toward the mountain when your destination is south, before you realize your mistake and continue about your day with the feeling that you somehow forgot something or went the wrong way. I know life in Quantic because it has been my life for 23 years. What I do not know is why this year was different. Why the call of the mountain is so much stronger for me. Why instead of taking a few steps towards the mountain and correcting, I am now nearing the summit, experiencing the onset of hypothermia with no plans to head back down. Though, what I really don't know is what is following me. I have felt its presence for at least a couple of miles. Distances are hard to gauge on the mountain. I first felt it when I traveled through the pass. As I inched my way along cautiously, waiting for the walls of snow on either side to come sliding down the mountain and smother me, I felt it. It was far off then, far behind on the snow-concealed trail. I pass. After hours of careful footing and silence, I felt it enter behind me. It had reached the mouth of the pass and was making its way through fast. It had no caution, as if it knew somehow that the snow surrounding it would stay just where it was. It was at that point I panicked. At the rate it was moving, it would reach me before I reached the summit, and I couldn't let that happen. I am here for a reason, though I am not sure yet what that reason is. I know I have to reach the summit. I simply must. I have no choice. As I moved up the mountain with increased vigor, I could feel it approaching behind me. At first, it was very far away, but no matter how fast I moved up the mountain, I could feel the gap shrinking steadily. As I reached the last of the false summits, it was close behind me. I did not have long until it was upon me, so I decided to make a mad dash for the summit. I took a deep breath and set off as close to a sprint as I could manage. That's when I felt it. It had picked up speed. It was approaching me rapidly. I had to do something. I had reached a clearing where snow had gathered together in small drifts. My first thought was to dash into the woods and wait for the creature to pass. However, the snow had stopped coming down as hard, and I realized my footprints were clearly visible. I had to think fast. I was almost here. I made a quick decision. I left the path and cut across the field to the tree line, stopping when I hit a shrub. Then I carefully stepped back into my own footprints until I was near one of the snowdrifts. I bent my knees low and kicked off, clearing the snowdrift, landing on my side behind it. Then I waited. I could feel it approaching, and then I couldn't. Just as it reached the edge of the clearing, it vanished from my perception. I couldn't feel it anymore. It was gone. In its place, silence, and then drums. So here I am, hidden behind a snowdrift, waiting, the beating of drums filling my body and mind. I move slowly and silently to tuck my hands into my jacket in an attempt to stave off hypothermia. But the cold burns my chest, so I remove them. The minutes pass. The only sound is a synchronous beating of the drums emanating from the summit. I am going to die here. I'm not sure from where that thought came, but as soon as it did, I knew it was true. I had completely lost the feeling in my hands, and the senselessness was making its way up my arms, like I was putting on gloves made of frost. My feet were gone too. I tried to wiggle my toes, but it's useless. They're frozen solid. I can't feel how many must have snapped off in my boot. I am going to die here. I am going to die here if I don't move. I am going to die here if I don't move. And I must reach the summit. All the thoughts pool in my head and lead to one conclusion. I have to get up. I move my arm under me, and with some difficulty splay my fingers to support myself. It doesn't hurt. It doesn't feel like anything. I can't feel the snow beneath my fingertips, but I can't worry about that now. I push against the ground and roll over, now lying on my back, looking up at the cold, dark sky above. A snowflake pirouettes down from the darkness and lands on my cheek. It doesn't melt. I muster all of my remaining strength and lift myself to a sitting position. My eyeline does not quite clear the snowdrift. I am still blind to the path from which I had come. I fumble with my stiff limbs into a kneeling position. I push against the snowdrift, my hand sliding into the powder, but it holds enough that I find my feet under me. It feels wrong, like walking with stilts. My knees barely bend. My elbows are stiff too, as I try to wipe some snow from my torso and legs. That's when I see him. I know it's a him, because he is completely naked to the elements. He seemed entirely unbothered by the cold, standing motionless. He stands tall, a few heads taller than me, and he is muscular. His body is hard and jagged. Muscles protrude at right angles, as if he were sculpted from the ice itself. However, he is human, insofar as he is composed of human flesh, but his skin has a bluish tint, as if it's frozen, and his eyes stare ahead, soullessly. He stands at the edge of the clearing from which I had entered. He does not move in reaction to me. His head doesn't turn to look at me, but he knows I am there. He always did. But he makes no move to act on that knowledge. He just stands there, like a statue at the edge of the clearing, completely unmoving. I take a cautious step away from him, and he remains entirely still. I take another, and another, and another. I never avert my eyes from him. I don't blink. I don't know if I still can. I take one more step, and something touches my back. And that's where we ended for today. I hope you all come back for the final parts of Iku Tayuk. And don't freeze out there. I know the world is a cold, dead place, but please don't freeze.